good. But you may think that this is normal in Italy, and it isn't. If you make the same experiment in other places, for instance, if you make the same experiment in the parliament, you see 35% women. Not bad. It is the highest number of elected women in our history. And we are proud that the name of the law allowing this important result is the name of our president. As Matteo has already said, in our history, we had only one government in which ministers were 50% women and 50% men, and it was under the presidency of Matteo Renzi. Okay, so not bad, but it's clear that it is not enough, because women are not 35% of our population. We are 1/2. 75 years ago, Elizabeth, in the first Constituent Assembly, there were 21 women. Only 21 women. The men were 535. But those women, those mothers of our republic, made the difference. They were the difference. Recently, Ursula von der Leyen said that we need the women in leadership position. We need women in decision-making roles, not because women are better than men. Okay, sometimes it happens. But okay, not because they are better than men, but because women are different. Diversity is a cornerstone for democracy. Without democracy, we cannot live. So, gender equality is necessary to fulfill our democracy. Gender equality, women's empowerment, is not just a matter of justice. Change your mindset. It's not just a matter of justice. It's not just a matter of rights of women. It's a question of achieving benefits for all, men and women. Without gender equality, we cannot achieve an inclusive, resilient, sustainable development. So, this is the main challenge. Now, here we have to discuss and we have to think how to fix this. So I hope that this conversation could help us to understand which are the right direction to implement. And so the first question I would like to ask you is how France is promoting economic empowerment of women. It was one of the main issues of the G7 presidency of France some 2 years ago, if I do not make a mistake. And so how you are promoting this economic empowerment?
Elena, indeed, I'm going to respond to this question. Tell me if you can hear me well.
I hear, yeah?
Okay, wonderful, because I'm having an echo.
So, sorry.
It's okay, no worries. Just before I start, I want to say hello to all the people that I'm not seeing in the room from wherever you are in Europe. It's such a pleasure for me to be virtually with you in Italy together with Elena, because, as I said, I think Italy and France really share the same values on these topics. And I'm going to tell you something. I love the name you have chosen for your group, Renew, because the world needs a renewal of its values and the way it is behaving, the way it is including people or excluding some people. And what we can say, based on the last Generation Equality Forum we had in France, together, that was organized together with the United Nations Women, what we can say is today, nowhere in the world, not a single country can say that he has achieved a real equality between women and men. And, you know, I'm very realistic. I know you have many young people in this room attending this conference, and I can tell you something. What our generation, Elena, has accepted. What Matteo was talking about, you know, all the journey that we have been through to reach this equality, all the things that have been done by our ancestors, by the other women and men who have fought for a real equality, the time has come, because I think this new generation will not accept what our generation has accepted. And for this new generation, equality should be the fundamental. So I'm really happy to respond to the question you have asked, because to me, gender equality goes through economic empowerment. All around the planet, women are poorer than men. They have less capital because their inclusion in the economic world is less important. And France has a long tradition of supporting women's participation in the labor market. These, to me, starts with a supportive system to families in terms of daycare facilities for babies and children, because everybody knows that if you are a single mom and you are educating your kids alone, you can't work if you do not have a family allowance, or if you do not have daycare facilities. And we also have some tax credits to support families. This is a very important topic to reconcile the work and family life, because many women don't want to choose between their career and their family. And I think it is the responsibility of the state to give them the opportunity to manage both things together. And over the past years, we have also continuously strengthened our legislation in various areas to promote professional gender equality, because we know, as Matteo said previously, it's not only a woman thing. It is an important thing in the interest of the entire society. So we've had a French law for a minimum quota of women in administrative board. This was a law voted 10 years ago called Copé-Zimmermann law, and now we have almost 45% women on administration board, which is amazing, because we moved from 10 to 45 in 10 years. It just means that it is possible when we really want it. In 2018, France was the first country to oblige businesses to publish their performance in terms of gender pay gap, and eventually to be penalized when they performed poorly. We also have an ongoing legislative work to increase the share of women at executive level by setting legally binding quota. It's a law proposal that we call Rixin-Castaner, and to encourage also girls in the STEM schools, because we realize that these jobs are the jobs of the future, but we have very few women. So I can tell you that I think these post-COVID world really needs us to have a strong, inclusive plan to give women the place they deserve, again, not only in their interest, but in the interest of our countries, because we need every single talent to progress in our society. But let me stop here, Elena. I would like to ask you, because last week we were together in San Margarita. It was absolutely amazing, meeting all the ministers who are committed to fight for gender parity. And I would like to ask you, why did Italy decide to promote for the first time at the G20 a conference about women empowerment?
Thank you. Thank you. First, let me say that I completely agree with you. We share the same vision. And yes, it is true. Under the first presidency of the G20, the first Italian presidency of the G20, we organized the first conference on women's empowerment in the G20. And it was an historical moment. We lived this moment together. It was the first, but we are sure that it will not be the last. And we decided to organize this event for two main reasons. The first reason is that if you want to change the world. You need good policies, and to provide, to implement good policies, you need a strategy. And a strategy means vision, method, and action. And to implement a strategy, national governments are not sufficient. We need a global agenda. We need a global international agreement, shared commitment. Look at the situation in Afghanistan. Without the commitment of the whole international community, we cannot protect the rights of women in Afghanistan. We cannot preserve their fundamental freedoms, their basic rights. So we must do together at the international level, and in particular in the G20, all we can do to devise, to implement a global agenda for gender equality and women empowerment. The second thing is that without a gender perspective, our policies are not complete, are not efficient, are not effective in all the sectors. So, in all the sectors, in the G20, in all the meetings, in all the discussions, gender perspectives was assumed. And this made the results of that discussions more efficient to shape a world not just from one side. We do not want to shape a one-sided future. We do not want to shape a future only through the experience of life from the man point of view. We need also the other part of the population, the different perspective. And only in a dialogue with all the countries we can achieve. And it is the same you did in your presidency of Generation Equality Forum, to provide global agenda, shared commitment, concrete commitments, allocation of resources. And in this direction, I think that also the European level is very important. And I think that France, Italy, and all the European countries have to play a crucial role in the achievement of gender equality. And we have a great opportunity, that is the presidency of France next year. So I would like to ask you, how do you like that French presidency of the EU starting from January? Is it true? From January, yes. Could realize this energy, female energy, and women empowerment and gender policies for Europe?
Definitely, yes. I can tell you that we are really looking forward to take this presidency. It means a lot. You know, President Macron has decided that gender equality would be at the heart of his mandate. It would be the great cause of his mandate. And he wants to apply this not only at the national level, but also at the international level. Well executed, that these texts are respected in every single country in the same manner is another battle. So, you know, France has more generally an ambition, a strong ambition around diplomatic feminism, and this agenda we want to continue to push it after the Generation Equality Forum. It is an ambition, you mentioned it. The forum got $40 million investment. We want to make sure that we continue the work with all the countries that have committed, and it's something that we will pursue with UN Women. And again, you know, we have spoken a lot about gender equality. I do not see any country that can pretend that women are not equal to men. But you know, Simone de Beauvoir, who is one of our most famous feminists, said one day that it takes just one political, economic, or political, economic, any conflict can have a negative impact on women's rights, because women are always the very first to be confronted to any conflict around the planet. As you mentioned it, Afghanistan is a good example. When the Taliban arrived to the power, the first people who were threatened are women. So if we do not fight together to protect these women's rights, and we only work to protect women who are in Europe's right, then the world will not progress. So it's really something that we are looking forward to work on. And indeed, I cannot tell you the entire agenda because we are still working on it. We are in the preparation of this presidency. But I can tell you that our ambition is very big, and we count on every single person to progress on all these important values. Now, Elena, Italy is addressing this gender equality issue with a lot of ambition and determination. Can you give us a bit of detail on what you are doing, and how are you hopeful that you will make strong difference in the coming months? Personally, I know what you want to achieve. I know your passion for this topic, but I want you to inspire us further on what Italy is planning in the coming months.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. But, yes, I agree with you. In particular, in this time, which is a time of crisis after the pandemic crisis, we must do everything we can to build back and to build back better. And to build back better, we need to, let me say, release all the untapped energies of our society. And women, as you said, are one of the best untapped energy of our society. So we have to remove all the barriers preventing women from expressing their full potential in all the sectors of our life. And to do this, we need a strategy. There is always the main rule: to make policy, you need a strategy. You need vision, method, and action. And this is the reason I promoted the first national strategy for gender equality. Our government approved this document in the beginning of August, and now this document is a document for the implementation and the assessment of the Italian plan for Next Generation EU. There are some concrete action and also some KPI to monitor the effect and the progress of this strategy. In particular, I would like to focus on two pillars. The first one, which is one of the weakest points in Italy. For instance, if you look at the European rank for gender equality, Italy is not in a very good position. In particular, it is in the last position concerning the number of women in the workforce. So we have to do something, and we want to do something. It is urgent, really urgent in Italy to increase the level and the number of women in the labor force. And we need affirmative actions like tax breaks, tax benefits for women employment. We need incentives for enterprises and companies to promote women's careers, women's leadership. We have to foster companies to reduce the gender gap in growth opportunities. For instance, to ensure, and it is not the case now in Italy, to have equal pay for equal task. This is not the case. We have to close the salary gap between men and women. We need new infrastructures like early childhood education infrastructure. We need new rules And for instance, we introduced an innovative certification for gender equality policies to foster gender equality policies in the field of entrepreneurship. We have and we must invest in female entrepreneurship. Then there is a second issue, and it concerns education and training, and in particular in STEM subjects, mathematical, technology, but also in financial and digital literacy. And I think that we can underline two reasons for this choice. The first one is that mathematics, technology, science will be the language of the work in the future. And if you want a future in which women will be protagonists in the labor force, women now have to be skilled like men in all these subjects. And to do this, we have to promote a national plan for mathematics. I know that France did the same some years ago under the presidency of Macron to eradicate stereotypes, forcing girls to think that mathematics, physics, ICT are not subject for women. This is not true. I can say this, I am a professor, I am a mathematician. It is not true that girls are bad students in mathematics. I could say that sometimes they are better than men, but I do not say, okay, to be politically correct, but at least they have a chance as men. On the other side, there is a second point, a second important issue. We are now writing the algorithm of our future, and we cannot use only male language for this algorithm. We need diversity also in science to shape the artificial intelligence world of the future, to shape the big data activities for the future. So we need more women also in science. And I think that this is an ambitious challenge. We all together have an ambitious challenge to achieve gender equality, women's empowerment, to fulfill a global development for the planet. And we need to do, and it is urgent to do this now, because this time of crisis can become a time of opportunity. And to transform a crisis into an opportunity, you need responsibility. It is our responsibility. And I think that, I do not know if you agree with me, but I think that we need too many ingredients, courage and passion. And your generation has both courage and passion. So I think that your generation is the best generation to lead Europe to the future, which is a future of inclusive, resilient, and sustainable development, happiness, and benefits for all, men and women. Voilà. Je pense, Elisabeth, je pense que tu as terminé ton temps avec nous. Voilà, c'est vrai, oui. Je te remercie vraiment beaucoup. Je t'ai ravie. Et bon, je pense que nous avons montré la capacité de l'Italie et de la France, mais de l'Europe entière, d'avoir le courage de choisir la chose d'être l'égalité entre les femmes et les hommes. Et je voulais dire à ces jeunes qui sont avec nous que j'étais vraiment contente de participer à Génération Égalité Forum. Et dans le Génération Égalité Forum, Macron, le président Macron, il a dit une phrase très claire, « Je suis féministe parce que je suis humaniste ». Voilà. Le fait que l'égalité entre les femmes et les hommes, c'est la meilleure façon de réaliser l'humanité, la meilleure que nous pouvons faire, c'est bien. Voilà. À toi, tu peux soigner en anglais, en français, comme tu veux. Je voulais te rendre hommage aussi à la langue française.
Grazie mille, Elena. C'était un vrai plaisir pour moi d'être avec vous ce soir. Merci pour le travail que vous faites. Et je vais juste dire un mot, Elena. Je suis d'accord avec toi. La nouvelle génération est embarquée dans une transformation extrêmement importante et moi j'ai beaucoup de confiance dans sa capacité à faire de notre monde un monde plus égalitaire, plus inclusif et ce sera un monde plus sustainable. Ça, il n'y a pas de doute là-dessus, mais on ne va pas les laisser tout faire. Nous, notre génération est aussi embarquée dans ce voyage, so I hope the journey will be beautiful because our humanity deserves it. Alors, merci beaucoup. Très bonne...
Merci, thank you very much. Merci, à bientôt.
Et à très bientôt. Bye
Voilà,
bye.
merci. C'est pour toi. Grazie. Passo all'italiano adesso. Io credo che qualcuno dovrebbe dare adesso delle indicazioni. In attesa che arrivi qualcuno a dare le indicazioni, davvero volevamo organizzare questo incontro all'interno di questa scuola perché voi sapete, in particolare Italia Viva ha fatto una scelta grazie diciamo alla straordinaria capacità e lungimiranza di Matteo, che sempre nella sua azione politica ha assunto questo come uno dei punti caratterizzanti, la scelta di assumere in tutte le posizioni la presenza di un uomo e di una donna. Questo significa davvero garantire la parità di genere, perché la parità di genere non è la rivendicazione di uno spazio a rappresentanza di un pezzo, è il fatto che solo nella relazione, nell'interazione, anche nei luoghi di leadership politica, tra le diversità, tra le diverse esperienze, l'imposizione di un dialogo tra diversi fa fare alla politica quel passo avanti che è necessario, che è quello della sintesi in avanti. Ecco, oggi io credo che l'esperienza che questo partito rappresenta all'interno poi della scelta riformista che interpretiamo insieme in Europa, e avete visto quanta sintonia ci sia in particolare con la ministra francese con cui ho condiviso in questi anni diciamo molte battaglie, molte proposte a livello europeo, ha parlato quello delle donne nei consigli di amministrazione, le quote, il tema della violenza contro le donne, quindi strategie che davvero hanno un respiro internazionale. Ecco quanto questa scelta possa fare alla politica un balzo in avanti, e io credo che sia una scelta non solo di diciamo di tutela o di rivendicazione, ma come più volte ho avuto modo di dire, la parità di genere non si concede, la parità di genere deve essere scelta e praticata, ed è quello che noi vogliamo fare. Grazie, e adesso abbiamo le indicazioni tecniche.
Grazie mille alla Ministra Bonetti ancora. E due cose rapidamente: se abbiamo la slide dei tavoli, anche stasera ci sono i tavoli di lavoro.